Hey guys, Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist on Langkawi Island in Malaysia. And I've been spending the last day or two here talking with some of the priority bankers in Singapore, as well as with some folks at banks in other places, such as in Europe, about priority banking accounts and what it takes to open priority bank accounts. I just recently opened a priority bank account and wanted to talk about the difference between priority banking and private banking, because I think a lot of folks who are looking to go offshore are looking not only to increase the liquidity and the stability and the quality of the banks they deal with, they're looking to diversify their geographic footprint, but they're also looking to get a better service experience, take advantage of the opportunities available from priority and private banking, which up until recently haven't really been a huge thing for most of the market in places like the United States. So, private banking and priority banking. Now, obviously, what a lot of people look at when they're first starting out going offshore is the mass market retail banking. This is where you can go to some countries and open a bank account with $1. This is where you can go with $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, and those options are shrinking. We've made other videos here on YouTube about how countries like Singapore and Hong Kong have made the very entry-level accounts very difficult, if not impossible, to access unless you're a resident or a citizen. But the next level up is priority banking, and this is probably where most people, particularly entrepreneurs who are running an active business and not just managing their money, want to be. So it's mass market, it's priority, and then above that is the actual private banking experience that you've probably heard about from places like Switzerland, Liechtenstein, etc. Priority banking is something that I think that generally an entrepreneur, an actively working entrepreneur, should consider first. Is not only the requirements are lower. Priority banking is a step above mass market banking, but it's more in terms of more personalized service, more availability to talk to somebody, easier access sending wires. Maybe the fees are a little bit lower. I've got a priority banking account in Europe where I pay about half the fees for ATM withdrawals, wire transfers, stuff like that. It's very low fee. So you get kind of an extra level of service. You're not sitting and talking to call centers. You have someone you can email directly. When I opened my priority bank account in Singapore recently, I reached out because I don't have my banking token yet in the mail, and I asked the banker, hey, did you receive the deposit? And she replied back right away, yes, we received the wire transfer from your other bank. If there were any questions about transactions I had, it would be easier to talk to somebody. So priority banking is just kind of, in my experience, and in the experience of a lot of people that I would help, is a higher level of service, a higher level of availability, help if there's a challenge, help in asking questions, just a higher level of service, potentially a little bit higher interest rates, potentially some of the other benefits, but more flexibility in terms of who you are, what you're doing, how you're making your money, how the money comes in and out, and just a lot more flexibility in general. So a priority bank account, in my mind, has a higher minimum. So for example, the one that I recently opened has 150,000 US dollar minimum, approximately. That's obviously higher than some of the bank accounts in Singapore a couple of years ago where you could put $1,000 in just off the street. Those are largely gone, but obviously that's a big difference. What you're also getting though for that higher minimum is you're getting the flexibility that if you're running an active business, they're going to want to know about it. They're going to know how you make your money. They're going to want to know some details, but there's not going to be this huge investigation that some private banks do where they really dig into you and they really ask you a lot of questions and they really get defensive. So priority banking for me allows you to move money in, move money out. If you want to put money in, then later move some out to buy a house. As long as you're meeting their minimums, you're going to be more or less okay. They don't necessarily demand that you invest in their unit trusts or their life insurance or allow them to manage your money in equities or whatever else. So it's more of a bank account as many people know it. Transactions allowed, money in and out, just a higher balance requirement, higher service, more flexibility, more of the experience you may be used to. Private banking, on the other hand, actually, it goes well beyond Switzerland and Liechtenstein. Lebanon actually has a decent private bank. The Gulf is coming up with some. But private banking, in my experience, is more, we want to manage your money, just kind of put it in, let us handle it. Higher fees, we don't want to see lots of transactions. Private banking typically would start at $1 million rather than the $50,000 to $100,000 to $200,000 that various priority bankings would operate at. So really it comes down to the numbers, and it comes down to how much flexibility you want over your money. Are you willing just to park it there and let them handle it and pitch you different investment ideas and manage it for you, or do you want to just use it as a transactional account? If I'm keeping cash, I largely like the flexibility to move money in and out, to do deals. I plan each year where I want to keep amounts of cash because I want to be able to meet their minimums and respect the minimums and avoid the service charges or possible account closures of my priority banks. But it's a lot easier to do it with a priority bank, in my opinion, than with a private bank. So what does it take to get in with a priority bank? Well, I mean, there's some in parts of the emerging world where, $20,000 you can get in, and the experience is what you'd expect from, say, an HSBC Premier, or even a little bit better, since HSBC Premier is basically utter rubbish. In most parts of the world, priority banking will start at about $100,000. You would put HSBC Premier and other similar options in that priority banking. It's far from private banking. In fact, HSBC's private bank has a $5 million requirement. So there are some places in the Gulf that are a little under 100,000. Singapore is generally going to be in the low six figures, 150, 200, 250. And then you can go up from there. So generally, if you've got low six figures, a little bit more than 100 grand, you'll have a decent number of priority banks willing to talk to you. For private banking, there are some options I see every once in a while, 400,000 euros, 500,000 euros, but $1 million generally is where I want to be. The Bank of Singapore in Singapore is a $2 million requirement, up from $1 million not so long ago. As I said, HSBC private bank is $5 million. So obviously, I mean, the terms kind of start to blend together because you've got certain mass market banks, including some in the offshore space, that charge higher fees, but have said, hey, we provide more personalized service. I have a bank in the United States that actually provides pretty, what I would call priority banking service, even though they don't label it as that. So the terms get thrown around a lot, and I wouldn't necessarily be confused. I would look at mass market banking as low minimums, probably not having a person to talk to, just kind of being put in the system and not being bothered too much. Priority banking is higher minimums, higher level of service, but still not a lot of bother. Private banking is kind of the full enchilada. What lastly I think is important to realize is that these numbers are going up. I mean, the Bank of Singapore, when I was in Singapore a couple years ago, wanted $1 million. Now they want $2 million because they can afford it. They can afford to do that. Private banking, they want to keep the numbers down. They want it to be exclusive, kind of like the hotel over here, the Dana in Langkawi. They don't want everyone to be going there, or else it's not a luxury experience. So I think that, as I said, the average entrepreneur should look at priority banking as a potentially first step for going offshore as the mass market bank opportunities dry up, not just for US citizens, but for everybody. So there's an introduction to the difference between the two. Definitely subscribe to our channel here on YouTube if you want to learn more about banking offshore, how it is legal, how you can use it to protect yourself, protect your money, grow your money faster, and as an entree for other parts of the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle. And definitely check out nomadcapitalist.com if you're trying to put this stuff in action for yourself. There's a lot to learn at nomadcapitalist.com.